You can't tell me that after the Pokemon leaks, this dynamic isn't completely tarnished in the worst ways possible. Like, we all made jokes about Mr. Mime being Ash's father, or the real reason why his mom told a 10-year-old boy to go on a Pokemon adventure was so that she could get freaky. And after looking at the Pokemon leaks, it's all probably true, and this literally rewrites everything we know about the Pokemon franchise. And now I'm just looking at any trainers who have Gardevoirs or Lopunnies on their team in a totally different light. Well, more so than before. You see, the craziest thing to come from the Pokemon leaks is the admission that dynamics and relationships between people and Pokemon at one time were pretty blurred. So I guess shout out to the Pokemon Smasher Pass Gooners for being onto something this down horrendous before it was cool. Just know that Pokemon human hybrids were a thing at one point. But this dichotomy between Pokemon and humanity is a lot more wild than you might imagine, because you have people killing Pokemon, Pokemon killing people, and then a lot of other really gross stuff in between. A lot of this stuff could even play into the Pokemon Wars that predated the original series, and that's because Pokemon evolved more than just being partners, they became tools of destruction. Then there's the bottom of the barrel dumpster fire that can only be characterized as pure evil, and it's embodied by all these guys. But it's made even more depressing for me because Typhlosion used to be one of my favorite Pokemon. In fact, the very first Pokemon card that I ever got was Typhlosion, but now I can never look at him the same, and it's totally tragic. Now, in some sense, all this dark stuff was right under our noses. Like in Pokemon Fire Red, there's an actual plotline in the game where a Hypno abducts a girl into a forest. Like, my god, Game Freak was always into this freaky stuff. It was always there. And there is an actual reason why all this Pokemon stuff is so messed up, and that's because Pokemon is based off various mythologies, and that's where the lore is tied into. But the massive disconnect comes from the fact that Pokemon is a kid's game, and having such a dark background behind the lore is not exactly the best combination in the world. It's almost as bad as these guys.